October, one of the first 10 months of the year. Named for pioneering and brilliant nuclear physicist Otto Octavius, October brings us fall air and short strangers to our doors. October, the time of year in my home state of Minnesota, the Vikings continue their yearly adventure to the height of mediocrity, bringing us all a profound sense of scheduled disappointment. October, a time when Americans flock to Germany for their annual pilgrimage to annoy Europeans and embarrass themselves, many times involving excessive drinking and public urination. October, Hot Tub Accident Awareness Month, where we take time to bring a spotlight on the importance of basic safety procedures and the consequences of failure. So what happened here at BellTube headquarters in October? I do believe it's time to find out. So you guys, October was nothing to write home about in terms of my reading amount. Now, the books that I read were fantastic, and we're going to talk about them today, but because I only read about 2 3/4 books, what I decided to do for today's video is I'm going to talk about those books. I'm going to share with you all the books that I hauled because it wasn't like, dozens of books, but there are some really great gifts that I want to highlight. We're going to talk about what's coming up on the channel. I've got a new segment that I want to do in today's episode, and in today's one for the road, I'm going to share with you kind of a thought I have for the future of the channel. So let's get right into it with our book of the month. So for the book of the month, there wasn't that much to choose from, right? 2.5 total books. All right, we're going to make this an easy one. Book of the month, House of Chains, Malazan Book of the Fallen, number 4 by Steven Erikson. I always wonder that my hand is not getting in the way of the book. But anyway, you guys, I love this book for tons and tons of reasons. We find a new character that we're introduced to right off the rip in the first chapter. In fact, even in the prologue, we're introduced to a brand new character who comes up later. But this sucker is a chonker. I have to tell you, this month, just kind of scheduling wise, my reading time was sort of limited to evening hours, like right before bed. And there are a lot of books you can read in bed and just kind of blast through. I'm going to say with all great confidence, Malazan is not one of those books. This is an extremely dense book, and it's very misleading because the margins are very narrow, the type font is very small, and there's over 300,000 words in this book. So I was reading about 50 pages a day, tops. This sucker took me about 3 weeks to get through. That is an enormous amount of time for me, but it was easily the book of the month. And I actually think it would have been the book of the month had I read my normal 7 or 8 books. It's just that great. For all of you guys who have been, kind of rooting me on this Malazan journey, I have to say a deep, heartfelt thank you. This has quickly become one of my all-time favorite fantasy series. To give you kind of an idea, last year when I did my top 10 fantasy of all time video, Malazan wasn't even there. I hadn't even started Gardens of the Moon until February of this year. Rest assured, coming up in December when I do the annual top 10 fantasy series list, Malazan Book of the Fallen is winding up in the top 10. Now, unfortunately, I have to basically pause Malazan until at least about February, I think, just due to some commitments that I've made for read-alongs and other things that I know I have to get done before the end of the year, both IRL and in reading. And Malazan, these are very long books and they're quite time-consuming. Also, of course, Wind and Truth is coming out in December, and I think it would be really difficult to blast through Brandon Sanderson's 1,500-page epic and throw Midnight Tides on top of that. So we're going to push Malazan now into February of 2025. But don't worry, I am not giving up on this series. I love it too much. Every single month that this book has been on my TBR, it has won the book of the month. So, no surprise here. Book of the month for October 2024, House of Chains. Witness And let's move on to the next book. Okay, so the other book that I read, and that's so weird to say the other book. All right, I only finished one other book, and that is Meet Your Maker, a LitRPG adventure by Jonathan McLean and Seth McDuffie. Now, Podium Entertainment, who is basically the publisher behind this audiobook, they had me do a sponsored stream about a week or two ago where I got to have those authors, and Jonathan actually himself is the narrator, came on my channel. We called it LitRPG live stream, but it was really a For Whom the Bell Tolls episode, if we're going to be honest about it, because I had the same kind of deep diving questions that I ask regular guests on my interview show. You guys, I had such a blast with that interview. If you've not watched it yet, I am going to leave a card right here where you can check it out. Meet Your Maker is very much a lit RPG for everybody. If you've been hearing about this genre and you want to know where to dive in, I've done another video talking about, my top 10 lit RPG stuff before. I've done a video talking about, hey, I finished Dungeon Crawler Carl. Now where do I go, Brian? I had not read this book when I made that video, but I would put Meet Your Maker on that list. It's really cool in a number of ways. For complete newbies, right? You are very slowly introduced into the lit RPG elements. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say that lit RPG doesn't even really become a thing till about maybe the 40 or 50% mark of the book. They've slowly eased the reader in, and it is not crunchy at all. And if you're new to lit RPG, crunchy just means a lot of data, a lot of numbers. They don't do any of that. They want to make this book very accessible to both newbies to the genre, but also seasoned veterans like myself who've read hundreds of lit RPG books, but still love the progression fantasy story. Meet Your Maker has all of that and more. Jonathan has done over 200 audiobooks, and I have to tell you, I cannot believe I had not ever listened to his narration before. It's amazing. This guy just totally rocks. He's great at it. This is not going to be the Jonathan McLean gush fest. However, Meet Your Maker is absolutely worth your time. Check it out on audio if you really love great narration. Now, this is also a book, I will say, for people that are maybe shy about audiobooks and say, well, I lose my concentration, this and that. This might be a good one to test that on. I just think that the way that the story develops and the way that Jonathan reads the story, it doesn't really lead you to start having wandering thoughts about IRL stuff. You're actually pretty engrossed in the story, and the cast is very tight. We really have about 2.5 main characters till about maybe the 80% mark of the book. So you're not following all these intricate plot lines, and losing your mental train of thought. It's really focused. I would give it a try on audio first, just to experience Jonathan's amazing talent. If for whatever reason audio is not your jam and you don't want to try it that way, then definitely just pick up the physical book or the ebook. It is worth your time. I really liked it. Can it compete with House of Chains for Book of the Month? Probably not, no, and I think both of those authors would probably agree with that as well. But Meet Your Maker, definitely go check it out. Let's go to the next book. So this next book, you guys, the BellTube community voted in, and that is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. All right, BellTube community, I have sort of failed you. I am only at about the 65% mark as of filming this video today on October 31st, thus the skulls on the shirt. I am in the Halloween spirit. Anyway, if you are a subscriber to the channel, you know that we do this we do a monthly poll where you guys select what you want me to read, and it's free, of course, for subscribers, which is also free, and you selected The Shadow of the Gods. Now, I suspect by the time this video actually airs, I'll have finished it, or I will be very close to it. I know as of filming this, I'm maybe a day or two away from completion. What do I think about the book so far? It's really good. I like it better, I think, than Malice, which is, the Faithful and the Fallen's book one. This is the Bloodsworn Saga. I picked this up really originally, well, Christopher Navo sent me this book a long time ago. Then you guys voted it in. And then it just sort of coincided with the fact that Heidi sent me The Hunger of the Gods. And then John Gwynne just released The Fury of the Gods. So it's a completed trilogy. It's all out. My intention is to get this wrapped up very quickly, to do The Hunger of the Gods in November, and then to read The Fury of the Gods in December. It's definitely doable. I want to finish the Bloodsworn Saga this year still, because I know coming up in January, we are starting the Wars of Light and Shadow, which is a gigantic read-along along with myself and John from Talking Story, a bunch of other booktubers. We'll announce all that later, but I am really enjoying this. I want to thank Christopher Navo for sending it to me. I want to thank you guys for voting this in the poll. I'm having a blast with this. Let's move on to the next stuff. Okay, so let's talk about some books that I hauled in the month of October. I didn't buy any books except for one, which I'll show you here in a minute. The first stack actually came from SPFBO authors that I had the opportunity to judge in that competition. Now, they sent me these books after I had already announced my semifinalist, so there's definitely no hanky-panky going on here, but I want to show some of these books because they're very cool. Author Timothy J.R. Reins sent me his completed series in hardback, the first being The Torn Veil. Now, this was the book that I actually did read during the competition. The next book is actually technically book one, I think, which is called The Broken Chain. The next book is The Shattered Sword. The next book is The Cracked Altar. So that is all really cool stuff. I have to say thank you so much to Timothy. He sent me not only those, but also a really cool letter, and I just dropped it. But, well, here's the letter. But what went here was a really cool red authentic wax seal and just a really nice handwritten letter. So thank you so much, Timothy, for sending me these books. I really did like the book that I read for Spiffbox for, your set. So I have to say, I will be reading those sometime next year. I also got a book from author Dennis Myers called Rise of the Automated Empire, Final Assembly. I don't know anything about this book, but I know that he's been featured on John Minton over Talking Stories channel before, and he was kind enough to send me this book. I will link this book and all the books that I hauled in the description below, because it's great to get some eyes on these books, and it's great to help out some of these independent authors. I love it. Okay, let's talk about one of my favorite books that I've read this year. I will be shocked if it does not make my top 10 list. Now, these guys sent me this book after I had already put them through as my semifinalist for SPFBO. This is Dewey Conway and Bill Adams' The Tenacious Tale of Tanna the Tendersword. Okay, you guys, we have such exciting news on this book. First of all, this is a middle grade book, which is probably right at about my reading level. One of the things that I just love about this book so much is that it comes with this really cool map, or at least they included it for me. Dewey, Bill, congratulations on not only being my semifinalist, but congratulations on becoming an actual finalist on SPFBO 10. Yes, Philip Chase, my team's judge, evaluated all 6 books that became semifinalists in his category, and Philip chose this one. If you watch the video, I will link it right here in the description. It's over on Philip's channel. I have to tell you, I was just so elated when he announced that this was going to be our team's finalist. What does that mean? That means out of 300 picked entries, The Tenacious Tale of Tanna the Tendersword is in the top 10. It is now out of my hands. It is now out of Philip's hands. It is in the hands of the other 9 main judges to determine if this is going to win the entire thing. Both Philip and I kind of think it has a pretty strong shot. And that's very strange because no middle grade book has ever made it this far in the competition. I am just so happy to be the biggest cheerleader for this book. If you've got, family or friends that are of middle grade age and you want them to get reading some fantasy stuff and have just a blast, this is a really good one. There's no death. There's no, crazy violence. There's certainly no sex stuff. This is all just fun fantasy and a great story about friendship. I love it myself, and as you guys can tell, I'm no spring chicken, or in this case, we have an animal companion who is a peg-legged rooster who also knows how to sword fight. It's a lot of fun. All right, enough about Tanna. I've talked about that one a lot. Let's move on to the next book. All right, this next book I bought for myself. I'm part of the Broken Bindings fantasy subscription service. I kind of languished on their list for, I want to say, about over a year, and then my name came up, and I was sent the Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams. Very cool sprayed edges. I'd be surprised if you watch my channel if you haven't seen this unboxing already. I do all of my unboxings on Patreon. I also started channel memberships on YouTube, so I will put those videos up there. Again, it's just something extra that I like to do for the patrons, and thank you, by the way, to the patrons of the channel. Dragonbone Chair, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. I've been getting requests to read this literally since I started this channel. I can't think of a better time to get into this now that I've got this beautiful edition in my hands. And you know what? Unlike House of Chains, I'm looking at this. It's got really big type, and my eyes are already just excited to read this because I'm not going to be squinting like I did for House of Chains. All right, so the Dragonbone Chair. That was hauled. Let's move on to the next one. And this next book was sent to me by the one and only original member of our Patreon Velvet Lounge. The man himself, Slay, decided one thing that I needed to have on my bookshelf. Whether I read it or not, he said he didn't care, but he wanted it to be on my bookshelf just in case the mood struck. And that is the manga Berserk. I know nothing about this. I will say I did open it up and read the first couple of pages, and I liked it. It's pretty much my thing. So, Berserk. You know what, Slay? You just rock. You know you rock. We talk every month. We do a patron call where him and I just, shoot the crap for about an hour on the phone. It's a blast. Slay, thank you, my brother. This is going on the shelf. You'll see it in future videos. I really appreciate you. Let's move on. And yes, it is the end of the month. And during this recap, you know what time it is, don't you already? You probably smelled it right at the beginning when I was talking about Hot Tub Awareness Month. He's back, folks, by popular demand? I don't know. Once again, at the end of the month, I give you Rick's Picks. Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Thunder, and I'm back, and that's a fact. Okay, so in the month of October, I read 2 books. Well, I kind of read 2 books. I'll get to that. Okay, the first book that I tried to read, now I didn't finish it, but I tried to read it. It's called by Dan Simmons, Hyperion. Now, Hyperion really sounded awesome to me because it's hyper, right? A lot of people say, hey, Rick Thunder, you're kind of hyper. And that's fact. So we know that. But then I was like, hey, I also like eyes on me, right? So I was like, okay, hyper, ion, ions on me, hyper ion. You guys, it wasn't that hyper. I tried. First thing that I saw was these people and they're going somewhere. I don't know. I lost interest. I have to say I wasn't hyped up. All right, let's get on to the next book. Now this next book, hang on, I need a diagram. Okay, we're back. Now this next book right here. Now this is Rick Thunder's alley. Okay, so this is called Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, right? Okay, so Agatha Christie, she's known as, so I'm told, the father or the mother or the someone of mystery, right? Okay, so Murder on the Orient Express. Now, I thought the whole time through I knew who done it because I'm Rick Thunder, that's a fact. I'm kind of a detective in my own right. But then I started thinking, hey, I don't remember if I was on the Orient Express. I can't remember. And then I started thinking, Rick Thunder, what if you were the one who done it? What if it was me, Rick Thunder? And then I got to the end of the book and I found out it was not me. It was not Rick Thunder. Rick Thunder didn't done it. And that's a fact. All right, so we've got a new segment here that I want to give a try to because I think it's important. I've been watching BookTube now for about 5 years, and we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary. And it's not without, me noticing how much existing BookTubers helped me out when I was first getting started, and I want to pay it forward. So a couple of weeks ago, I asked over on social media platforms, hey, what are some, smaller channels that maybe don't have awareness yet that I could show a spotlight to, or on rather. And I've got a couple here today that I want to share with you. And we're going to do this, I think, at least monthly, maybe twice a month, where I can, go search and find some channels that I think deserve a little bit of attention. The first one is Maeve Ever Books. Now, Maeve has got a channel. It's got about 150, 170 subscribers, something like that. But she deserves way more than that. She's working really hard. She does a ton of fun BookTube tags, and I can just see that her confidence is growing with each and every episode that she puts on her channel. It's linked in the description below. Go check it out. If you like her vibe, do me a favor, do her a favor, and subscribe to her channel. Let's get her built up. Let's keep her channel getting some great momentum. Now, the other channel that I want to talk about is The Bearded Book Beast. This is Chris's channel, and he's got a little bit more for subscribers, but I still think this guy has a lot to offer us, and I want to get more eyes on his channel. Why? Because he's doing things that are completely risk-taking, in my opinion. He's injecting humor into his videos. Do all of the jokes land? Absolutely not. Do all of my jokes land? Definitely not. But you know what? He's out there trying and he's having fun. And so I'm linking his stuff in the description below too. Go check out Triple B, The Bearded Book Beast. It's even fun to say. I think you're going to like the energy of his channel. It might remind you of when I was getting started and just kind of throwing everything in the kitchen sink at BookTube to see what sticks and see what, the audience gravitates to. I like his channel a lot. If you subscribe to it, throw it in the comment below his channel saying you heard it on BellTube. Do the same thing for Maeve as well. And yeah, so those are the two that I wanted to highlight today. I will continue this if people like me highlighting newer channels. Let's move on to the next stuff. All right, and the stuff that we're moving into is today's one for the road. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the video that the one for the road today is going to be a little bit different, and it is. Yeah, it does have a theme, and it is all about celebrating our wins. And in particular today, I want to celebrate 1 year of BellTube. We're going to do an official celebration next week. We're going to do a live stream, and I'll probably invite some of your favorite BellTube guests to come on, and we'll just, shoot the you-know-what and have fun just talking about the year of BellTube and kind of reminiscing about some of the better episodes, talking about For Whom the Bell Tolls, talking about some of the friendships that I've made with booktubers, all of that. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to basically say, hey, thank you for getting me where I'm at right now. And thank you for getting us as a community where we're at right now. Do we have a long way to go in my estimation? I do. I do think we have a long way to go because I think this can be one of the larger BookTube focused channels on YouTube. I really do. Not so much because of me, but because of you guys. You guys contribute in so many ways, both in the comments and in your suggestions of, content to do and in community polls. I just think we're only getting started. And for the one for the road about celebrating your wins, I know for a fact human beings, it's just their nature to dwell on their defeats more than celebrating their successes. We just kind of do that. And I am making it a personal point today and through the next week and hopefully throughout the rest of the year to really think about, all right, forget about dwelling on the defeats for a minute. Forget about dwelling on maybe some of the videos that didn't land so hot for me. Forget about dwelling on the fact that, hey, would I have rather have done this than that? Absolutely, I'm a human being. But I also want to celebrate the fact that a year's gone by, we are still here. I have read some amazing books in that time, a lot of it because of you guys. I have met some of my closest friends right now, IRL, through BookTube, which is just fantastic. It's just something that I'm very proud of, and it's something that I wanted to celebrate, and that's why I wanted to make today's one for the road a little bit different. And I guess here's a big question. I've been calling this season 1 all year long, right? I've been saying, hey, it's season 1 of BellTube, blah, 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 blah. Do you guys think I should start calling it season 2 after we hit the year anniversary? Or should it be a perpetual season 1 forever? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think, if we call it season 2 or if we call it season 1. I'd also like to know in the comments what you read for the month of October. And I also want to let you know, coming up on the channel, there's a bunch of stuff. We've got some incredible For Whom the Bell Tolls episodes already scheduled out throughout the rest of the year. We have some new personas that are going to make initial appearances before the end of the year. We have some top 10 lists that are annual that are going to happen in December. We have, and I'm very excited about this, our second annual BellTube Holiday Disco Special coming up around the holidays. If you don't know what that is, I'm putting a link up right here. That's when Funky Mirage comes out and starts disco-fying other booktubers. It's a ton of fun. Long and the short of this video, guys, is I'm having a blast doing this. You guys have been there along the way the whole time. This has gone on way too long, so I'll tell you what I always do. Stay positive, and of course, here's your fortune.